Woo ba 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 ba.
Oh,
What's
we're
up, Tuck?
on.
Oh,
Hey.
we're on. We're on like Donkey
Happy
Kong
happy happy
in a thong.
afternoon.
Uh, or morning, depending on where
For
where
you
you're
for
at.
for you. Did you work out today?
No, I am working out tomorrow before
Got
I
it.
got a bunch of meetings in the afternoon. Yeah, this is the first week I'll be doing twice in a week, so that's gonna
I
be
know
sucky.
it's February tomorrow. I'm pretty excited about it. My
Yep.
my ban on drinking is up, so let it roll.
Yeah, I actually went to the doctor yesterday, and he wanted to do like the blood panel that he like. My doctor likes to do one like once a year,
Yeah.
check like cholesterol and all that kind of stuff. But like like my liver enzymes are always like a little bit high, and I know it's because we drink a lot.
Wait,
And
really?
oh yeah, have you done a blood test recently? You
Yeah,
should do it.
like every
Oh
year. No, literally, I do it every year. I did it in December after I've been drinking for like 2 months straight. And every time I just expect them to be like, your liver's fucked, dude. And every single time they just say, oh, yeah, it's fine. I don't
yeah.
get it
Well, I
either.
mean,
Trust
my
me.
my doctor always just says like, well, you're just like slightly elevated, so we'd
Yeah,
like to watch it. It's never been a hey, you need to do lifestyle changes right now or you're gonna
sure.
die.
Start taking milk thistle.
Yeah, but I had told him because he wanted me to do it yesterday, and I was like, "Well, as you know, the Chiefs played last night, and let's just say a lot of drinking happened. So, like, it's been 24 hours. Am I
Yeah,
fine?" He's like, "You know what? Let's schedule it out for a couple weeks. Just make sure you don't, drink or do your normal routine at least 5 days leading up to it." And I was like, "Okay, cool, cool, cool."
normal routine. You're like, I don't know if that's different. So let's just schedule it before the Super Bowl, not after.
Yes, yeah, I think I actually have it scheduled for the Friday after the Super Bowl. So.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, because I don't think they could get me in next week or something like that. So, anyways, but
The Super the Super Bowl's on the
12th.
12th. Okay,
Yep.
I think I know what I'm gonna do for that. So
You
now
think you do?
get this.
Oh, I'm
I
getting it.
had the Chiefs on Sunday at my apartment. I
Good.
scuffled back home as soon as I could and turned it on. I found it on Spectrum and everything. So
Nice.
I don't know what's happening to me. And I don't like it.
Well, it's just you're finding other activities to do other than rugby and binge already canceled TV shows.
Correct. Life and Times of Tim for those out there.
Oh God. All right. Well, I'm excited. We haven't done a say yes to the deck in a hot minute. Um,
Yes.
For the non-audio audience, is there anything that you want to give them a nugget of if you're going to say yes or not, like through
Have I
riddle
said
or limerick, possibly?
um a limerick? I haven't said no before. I can't do it. I can't do it on the fly. I was like, one of the podcasts I listen to, a guy does a limerick every episode. So
Yeah,
I kind of inherently remember how they go, but I can't do it. We'll see. How about that?
we'll see.
We'll give him a we'll see.
All right. Well, let's start recording in three, two, one.
Here we go. It's a
Hey
real one.
guys, welcome to episode 169 of CMD Towers Brews and Builds.
Oh.
I'm Mr. Commodore number 5, and my fellow host will be applying his implement of improvement to this deck, BigTuck.
Hello. Hey cats and kittens. So here's the good news. This is a real beer, but it's alcohol free.
So you could drink it
So get
at noon, and it's no big deal.
so so get this, right? I got carded for this, which is
Wait,
bizarre. I think because it
do you have
has
to be
maybe like
21 or older to buy non-alcoholic beer?
I guess, right? Isn't that weird?
That's
It's
so
uh
dumb.
it's a Heineken 00. But I just found out it's actually pretty tasty as far
Oh,
as
you
things
shut your
go.
mouth.
It's not that it's really trust me, though I've had way worse ones. They're way chalky. I know you're now a Guinness convert, which is exciting.
Well, I've always been a Guinness guy. I've always loved it.
But
I don't
you
drink
didn't
beer
know that they're like
regularly
super
to
low
begin with.
calorie. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they're like super good for you, and like they used to because has so much it had so much potassium in it because it's dark. They used to have like pregnant women drink them because they thought it was good for babies. Yeah,
And then the babies came all fucked up, and they were like,
yeah.
"Hey, maybe we should
Then they
stop
come out.
this with
Yeah,
fetal alcohol
maybe we should
syndrome."
can all. Yeah, but people used to pound cigarettes when they were pregnant too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know, and I mean,
It's
some would
true.
say that was, peak, human fitness back then, less
Right, exactly.
obesity, so I don't know, maybe there's a correlation.
Yeah, I problem is I've been brushing. My doctor says it's not the smoking; it's just the brushing my teeth. That's what gave me the stomach cancer. I have to do it 6 times a day because my breath smells terrible.
Well, I
So
know
we
it's
got
only been a few days, so, we don't have major life things to share, but, how
no,
was your weekend? Obviously, it was a big one for us in Kansas City with the Chiefs making it to the Super Bowl,
yeah,
but how was yours?
yeah. That was exciting. It was solid. I got that giant dent pulled out of my car,
Nice.
which is good. So it looks like it's a real car again and not something that I've been using to just smash into walls. And then Sunday we got in some EDH games, which were fun. I played what did I play? I played the Vampire Precon, which I'm thinking about dismantling, and then I played Duretti. So fun. Oh, remember how you were like, "Hey, you shouldn't take that deck apart because you like it, right?"
Yeah.
So I came out like screaming fast, and then didn't do a lot. But like I remember, like I hadn't played it in so long. I actually got to play cards that I hadn't played before in it,
Oh, cool.
and like I won. So
Oh,
it's
that's
like
so funny.
it's cool, but it's just like okay, it's still like a fun deck, but maybe not the one I bring all the time, right? I don't
Yeah.
bring this one to conventions. I don't do any of that stuff. So, how was your time with the Chiefs? Though is the real question
Yeah,
because I
it was
watched
it
it by
was
myself
fun.
with my cat.
Had a single Aaron and the Godfather and the Goat come over and watch it. The Goat, because
Nice.
he's a superstitious SOB, left by halftime because he was like, "I don't like the vibe here. I just don't like the vibe," and then he left. And then, of course,
Okay.
we end up winning, and then he's like, "Ha,
Yeah.
vindicated," and it's like, I don't know. So that was all fine. I ended up making this smoked queso,
Ooh.
and the damn Godfather, and he knows my wife, and he knows that if he says something even questionable about how something tastes, she's just not gonna like it. That's just how she is. She gets very in her
Wait.
head, and
Wait. What?
so
So
he
if the
tasted the
Godfather said,
queso. Yeah, so he tasted the queso, and he's like, "Huh, I don't know. This kind of like tastes like gravy." And it's like, A, no, it doesn't. And then B, my wife heard it and she immediately was like, "Oh, well, I'm not gonna like it." And I'm like, "Well, why don't you try it?" She's like, "No, I don't want
yeah,
to try it.
right.
I'm not gonna like it." And it's like, God damn it. And I literally said to him, I was like, "Dude, what the fuck?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." And it's like, well, fucking think next time. Shit. Uh,
I,
but
that sounds.
overall,
I mean, it sounds good.
so it was a good recipe. I do think a little bit of the flavor profile he was getting because it was odd. They had me add cream of mushroom to it, which it did kind of make it this more earthy type
Yeah,
flavor. So I do think I would swap that out and just do extra cheese. If it's just for
more cheese.
creaminess,
Yeah,
just do extra cheese or maybe whole milk or something like that.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But it was good. Yeah, I mean, it was cooked with Italian sausage, your normal
Ooh,
Velveeta, Monterey Jack, but then I actually chopped up some fresh jalapenos, red pepper, red onion, smoked it for like 4 hours. I thought it turned
that
out
doesn't.
okay. It was just I could see like I had it left over for lunch yesterday, and I was like, all right, I get a little bit of that gravy flavor. It's just like I know for a fact if he hadn't said anything, she would have ate it and been fine.
Yeah,
So
right. I do think that's the way you described it. It does seem weird that they throw in the cream of mushroom, right? Like that doesn't
yeah,
seem to complement any of that. But I mean,
no,
but you could do the same thing and just take that out next time, right? And then you're off to the
yeah.
races.
Yeah,
Oof,
and
man, I'm
I
going for
I
a
even
chili
made the
cheese dip.
mistake because I ended up doing because I effectively I think doubled because they didn't actually give measurements for a lot of stuff. It
Yeah,
was just like Velveeta, and it's like I don't know what that means. So I
one
initially just
giant
did
block.
yeah, so I just did one can of cream of mushroom to start, and then at about the 3 hour mark, I was looking, I was like, I could probably be a little creamier, so I did that second can. So I just
Ah,
think next time I'll scrap the cream of mushroom altogether.
yeah,
Either find something to replace it or don't do anything at all, and I'm sure it'll turn out great. Because
for
everything
sure.
else was amazing. The red onion was good. The
Of course.
jalapenos, the red pepper, all of that stuff worked out
Yeah.
really positive.
So wait, I do have one more thing that I think you'd like. I had an expert grift this weekend, right? So I was going to my friend's house for a party, And
Okay.
I was like, okay, like I can't just show up, right? Like, what should I do? So I was like, I hatched a master plan. I texted in and said, hey, I don't think I'm gonna be able to make it tonight. I'm sorry. And then effectively turned my phone off, right? So she wouldn't see that I'd checked the message. So then when I got there, and I think some of them like smoke pot, so I knew that this would get them. I just go in and go, Charlotte PD, open the door. I got all of them. It just went completely quiet. It was amazing. You have been very proud.
Oh my gosh, that's such like a dad thing to do. Like
Yeah,
that's like when you
exactly.
get old enough to where it's like you could have sired children. It's like, haha, you know how funny it would be. I'll pretend to be the police and shut
Yeah.
off my phone. God.
I said something similar where someone's like, "Do you have a bike?" And I'm like, "No, I don't, but I just know it's someday I'm gonna wake up and have a goatee and like 3 motorbikes. Like it's just gonna happen. Like, that's how my life is gonna terminal for sure."
Oh man. Well, the only other thing I have, and I know you're waiting to watch it, so I'm not going to give spoilers. Last of Us, episode
Yeah.
3 premiered on Sunday this week, and I agree with the internet. It's probably one of the best TV episodes I've watched. Like, it's top 5 all time.
Wow.
All
Okay.
time. Like, take any
Yeah.
TV series, one singular episode that you're like, this is mecca for me. It's up there.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, it was beautiful. It's not really zombie or outbreak. It's
Yeah.
a
Right.
little bit focused, but it's more singular storied. It's something that you actually didn't get a lot of information on in the video game, even. So it was cool.
Right.
They were kind of filling in gaps for people that had played the game. Nick Offerman killed it.
Oh, it's great. Yeah.
Mark something, I can't remember his last name. He played the other gentleman in the episode, destroyed it. Their chemistry was phenomenal.
Yeah.
It was natural, and the way that they told the story. I mean, they literally took 20 plus years of these guys interacting with each other, condensed it down to a 45-minute block, and it never felt rushed. The entire thing felt natural. And at the end, I was like, me and my wife were a little teary. It
Oh,
was it
for
was
sure.
such a beautiful episode. So
You haven't played the games though, right?
no, I have.
Oh, you have? Okay, cool. Yeah, because I got dusty during the game, so I'm sure it's gonna get even worse during the series when it's like live actors. And that poor woman just passed away the other day too.
Oh yeah, the voice actress for
Yeah,
Tess.
yeah, which is a
Yeah,
bummer.
well, I
So,
mean, her character did die in the first game, so
good grief.
Good grief, it's Brews and Builds. It's an our deck tech series. Since we have conquered our path to 32, the 12 themes of EDH decks, we have moved on to a segment called Say Yes to the Deck. This will comprise of one of your hosts building a deck online specifically geared towards the playstyle of the other, but still challenging how they play EDH. At the end, we will see if they say yes to the deck, but of course, the heart of Brews and Builds is still here. So we describe the brewing of the deck similar to how beer is brewed. So we broke it down into 4 different categories. The first one's rampant setting your board state. We call that grain.
The grains are the foundation of a beer. They include both base malts and specialty malts, usually in a 60-40 ratio. This one definitely has a little bit heavier than that. This helps with the color, the taste, and most importantly, the alcohol content of the beer. Decks always need ways to grow, stabilize, and ramp into bigger threats. And just like a grain profile, they're usually a mix of staples and specialty cards.
How does your board interact with all of your opponents? We call that hop.
And hops give the beer's patented bitterness and herbal floral flavors. They grow in a variety of strands and help distinguish subcategories like IPAs. Our hop choices help clear and interact with the board so your deck can do what it wants.
How does your deck actually close out or win games? We call that yeast.
And yeast are microorganisms that eat the sugar from the grain and poop out alcohol and CO2. It adds alcohol content to carbonation. Without yeast, you'd be drinking flat sugar water, which is effectively what this is. And without yeast cards, your deck wouldn't meet the goal of actually winning the game.
And then we do have kind of a fun section. These can be pet cards, random synergies, which normally with a Say Yes to the Deck, we don't have an expansive section for this. As Tuck and I have talked about, like when you build a deck from
Yeah.
scratch, usually you don't have a lot here, but we got plenty here in the spice.
Yes, and not every beer has them, but spices is another additive help separate a normal stock beer from a specialty one. It could be the beans that turn a stout into a vanilla stout.
Oh,
Finally
you changed
changed
it
it.
up.
I finally changed it. Or the addition of hops that turn IPA into a double IPA. Not every deck has something that makes it pop. If it does, this is where we talk about it.
And then to cap off the episode, we do have a bottle capping, and this is going to be the deck's recipients, 3 cuts, and then recommendations to the deck that are well under $5, $50, and then one that has no budget. The only restriction is no mana only lands. So without further ado, let's get brewing. Yeah, we're here for another Say
We're
Yes to
back.
the Deck, and this is one that I went ahead and did for Big Tuck because it had been a couple months, maybe even 3 months since we did one. and he wanted something that could go into his BANT slot that isn't enchantress, crap, or what was the other? There was like one other restriction that you didn't want with BANT.
Probably tokens or something. I don't
Maybe.
know. No,
But
uh, or was it defenders? I don't know. I don't remember. I don't
anyway,
like Bant
yeah.
very much.
I thought I could use his love for trying to shove an artifact deck down my throat every chance he gets, and his obsession into surveil, probably your top 5 favorite mechanic.
It's great. I was looking into building a new surveil commander. Now that it's on more cards, so stick tuned to that.
Well, we
Stick
got
tuned to that. What?
Tocasia Dig Site Mentor to the rescue. So, Big Tuck, why don't you read this card and then I'll kind of talk about why I chose this.
Sure. So she's an interesting one, especially in Bant. So colorless and Bant. That's a green, a white, and a blue for 4/3 legendary creature, human artificer from the fresh off the presses Brothers War. Which is funny because All is One's coming out this weekend, so that sucks. And she's about 35 cents. So she has creatures you control have vigilance and tap Surveil 1. And for those who don't remember, Surveil 1 is look at the top card of your library and let's look at the top card of your library, and you may put that card into your graveyard. So you can leave it there or bin it, which is cool. And then for 2 colorless, double green, double blue, double white, you can exile her from your graveyard, which is really crazy. And then return any number of target artifact cards with total mana value 10 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. Activate only as a sorcery. So that's really a really interesting blowout, but has a lot of steps to get to it, right?
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. So, kind of here was my thought with this card is it doesn't feel like Bant
Mm-hmm.
at all. And I thought that was pretty cool. The other thing I liked about it is that with the commander errata, we can do Tocasia's activated ability without issue. Normally in the past,
Correct.
when
Yeah.
it's like exile it from your graveyard, it's gone for the game, and it's like I can't even play this. It's a one-time use and it's done, unless I'm just building the deck for the surveil mechanic. I like the
Right.
fact that it gave your creatures Vig. I know you like to live in the
Mm-hmm.
red zone, so now
Love
there's
it.
0 drawback to attacking, and then all of them with the activated ability as Surveil 1. And it's not like only activate this once per turn, or there's really
Right.
no restriction. It's just if you got 30 creatures, tap 30, surveil
Yeah,
30
let her
times if you
run.
want
Yep.
to. So I really liked that, and I thought this could be a fun way, similar to how Feather and Shirai were able to take, let's call them less impressive cards, or we usually say
Mhm.
draft shaft, where
Sure.
it's not viable in EDH, but actually make it viable on the artifact side. Because there's a lot of really cool artifacts, but it's like,
Mhm.
do I really want it in here for this one time use if I'm not doing
Right.
constant artifact recursion? Well, this is kind of a cool way that you can use a lot of these utility artifacts through the game. But then if you would like to at a later point, get them back for mana value 10 or
Right.
less. Or the other flip side is you're surveilling and it's turn 3. You know what? I'm not going to be able to cast this 8 drop
Yeah,
for 6 or 7
exactly.
turns. I'll just go ahead and bin it, and I know it's there later if I ever need it.
Yeah, if I need to get it back for it. Yeah.
Mhm.
No, I agree with that. Like I said, like I on the face, there's definitely some goofy cards in here, which I kind of like. I think it's I was a little worried when I first looked through it that we because when I first looked at the commander, I thought it was just an ability that you could do. Right? I didn't know that you had to put her into the graveyard
Yep.
as a get there. So, like, I think you did a good job of like getting ways into that. I did deck tech this a few times, and it seemed like it was pretty smooth to kind of get going, at least get her out.
Mhm.
It's really hard to tell how reactionary it is, but I love the hidden secret that you put in here. It's one of my new favorite cards, and I think this is a potential real way to do it.
Yeah, the only thing that I didn't do a ton of, which green excels at, and I thought I would kinda allow you as the deck recipient, probably in a postcast if you actually did wanna build this. I didn't do, like, a lot of Kadamas reaches, I didn't do a lot of
Yeah,
rampant
yeah,
growth
yeah.
effects, and I know that you would want those in here. So, that's almost kinda like a dealer's choice, like, would you rather have
Mhm.
those, or would you rather have artifacts that tap for mana that you could eventually get back and use for other
Sure.
stuff? So, that's really, for me, where you would kinda smooth out the deck is going to be
Right, right.
around, "Hey, I'm gonna swap out" I don't know. Arcane Signet. We're not going to talk about it. So Arcane
Sure.
Signet, I'm going to
For
swap
a
out for a
rampant growth.
Rampant
Yeah.
Growth or a Kadama's Reach because I'd rather have 2 lands versus this one artifact. You might have some of that. Who really knows?
Yeah.
But that's really the biggest tweak that I can just see on its face that it could use, and maybe getting rid of some of the cute artifacts that it's like, oh, that's cute.
Well,
I see what you're doing, but there's probably just something more
in
functional and
in the
better.
in the in the cut, I left in of the cuter artifacts, I think I left in all of them except for one.
Oh,
So,
interesting.
yeah. Yeah, and also I tried to keep the spice as intact as possible.
That's yeah. You always do that. Baffles,
What
baffles,
what, so I don't
Basil.
so I leave that so I don't take out of the spike? I'm not even choosing a spice card.
Well, no, that's what I was saying though, is that you always refuse to not take out of the spice, where
Right.
usually that's the first place I go. That's just on
Yes,
brand. I'm
correct.
just saying it's on brand.
What can I
Well,
say?
before we get into this episode, we would love for you guys to check out our amazing Patreon community, patreon.com/CMD Tower. Many different tiers. It starts at $3, goes up from there. $3 gets you full, unadulterated access into our Discord, plus some other soft effects.
Whether you like
Um,
it or not.
whether you like it or not.
Unadulterated. Yeah.
And then, of course, our higher tiers, there is a like little swag that we have for all of those. And then, whenever we could finally get back to a place where we have a healthy patron community and kind of healthy revenue coming in, and we can start adding new merchandise, you automatically get that merchandise depending on what tier it aligns to. So it's a really great program. And honestly, every single dollar does go to kind of helping pay down the things that we've invested into the channel and hopefully continuing to grow it. So just remember patreon.com/CMD Tower. Now we're going to go with the ramp and grain section. And since I built this deck for you, I'm going to go first.
Okay.
And the first card I wanted to talk about is, I think, unplayable in a deck that can't recur a whole bunch. And let's just say it draws you three and is a mystery.
Oh.
We're talking Mystery Key.
Oh, this one, yeah.
So, Mystery Key, colorless blue, artifact equipment for less than a dime, equip one. Whenever equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, sacrifice Mystery Key. If you do, draw three cards. So, normally I feel like this is probably unplayable in a lot of decks, even though it
Sure.
was
A little
printed
little
in
slow
Commander
maybe.
Legends. Yeah, it's a bit slow, one time use, but I think it's kind of cool with its CMC being two. It's only taking 20% of the 10
Right.
CMC that Tocasia can recur from the graveyard, and it just comes straight to the battlefield. So then, it's almost this, oh, well, I'm paying one, I pay my initial two, my one to equip to draw three. So effectively one mana per card drawn.
Right.
But then, depending on how many times you do Tocasia throughout the game, you're really just paying one to draw three. Your creatures have Vig, people are going to want to
Yeah.
block, so they're going to get hit. If you don't connect, hey, I'll tap it and I'll do my Surveil one. No big deal.
Sure.
But I thought this was kind of a cute, easy way to be able to draw a lot of cards.
Yeah, agreed on that. And how many times when you're building this, how many times are you hoping to activate Toskia?
Three times.
Tocasia? 3 times. That's what you're going for. Okay.
Yep.
Dies comes back 3 times. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a reasonable amount. And I think
Yeah, well,
if
because
that's the expectation,
her
yeah.
CMC is four, so if we kind of think about that, you then pay four, you pay six, and then you pay eight. I feel like,
Yeah.
paying eight for a
Oh,
commander is decently realistic, and eight's her activated ability. So that's why I kind
right.
of put it
So
at the
you
three
should get there.
times, because if you're doing it once and then activating it once, well, you have 8 mana, so you should probably be able to cast her, do it again, cast her, do it
To do it
again.
again. Yeah, yeah,
Beyond
yeah.
that,
But
I don't really know.
it's more gravy. Yeah. And there's some times where if you need this, you can use it, or if you need it to potentially do something else in this deck, which we might get to in just a second, it's still a good target for it, right? So
Mhm.
it's still the fact that it's an artifact is like the key on that.
All right. Well, what is your first grade card?
So this is a card that I'm pretty sure it's just like flat out broken in a million decks. And I think it's one of the few cases where I don't think it is, unless I've completely missed something.
Hmm. I think I
Or
know what
did
you're
I?
talking
Maybe I
about.
did. Because this is the expensive, one of the more expensive altars of all time. It's not even altar because it's an ironwork, because we're talking about KCI, the one, the only Karat Clan Ironworks, a
It's
card that I
dropped in
still
price.
own.
I was shocked.
It's down on quite a bit, but still up there, and they're never gonna. I don't think they're ever gonna reprint this either. But
Well,
anyway,
you could get your gold
we're
bordered for
colorless.
16 bucks.
Oh, let's go. I will trade my full bordered one for a gold bordered. Hit me up in the Discord. So it's a 4-drop artifact that's an uncommon from the original Kamigawa, I think. That's $37, which is crazy, but has come down. So and it simply reads sacrifice an artifact, add 2 to your mana pool. So again, I didn't see any ways that this is like inherently more busted than it already is in terms of like going infinite or anything, right? Unless I completely missed something.
No, no, no. So there's no
Okay,
infinite with this because once again, I know you don't like that. This was more now you have an outlet to like, okay, I got Tocasia in the graveyard. I'd like to get these four activated
exactly.
abilities to trigger again. Let me sack those artifacts. I can only use two of the colorless for Saskia or Tocasia's effect. But then you could use that remaining colorless for her command tax coming out of the command zone.
Sure.
So yeah.
Yeah, I agree. So that's why I really like it in here, where it's like it's a really good job. It's a really good card, but like is not busted in here,
Mhm.
like a lot of the other decks that's in. So that's a good start. That's a good start for me.
Yep, yep. All right. Well, this next card I had never heard of. I would say it's unplayable in Commander unless it's in a deck like this. Um, it has a very cool way to put artifacts straight from the yard straight into play.
Oh, this one.
We're talking Proto Matter Powder. Tell me you've heard of this card before.
No, I have not.
Two colorless blue. It's 11 cents and it's an artifact. Four colorless white, tap, sacrifice protomatter powder, return target artifact card from your graveyard to the battlefield. So I think it's pretty self-explanatory. With it only being
Yes,
three, now it's only taking 30% of Tocasia's 10 CMC, so it's a very small commitment to get the card back. But then being able to pay 5 to get out any numerous amount
and
of large
yeah,
artifacts, that's really, really good. And depending on how much mana you end up having, this might be one of those situations where you're activating the proto matter powder, bringing back a big boy, then activating Tocasia to bring the powder back,
bring the powder
and
back.
then
Yeah,
on top of other stuff. Because the one thing that I do think is going to be a feel bad with the deck, it's like, man, I really want this 7 drop, but then that takes up
but I
70%
don't get
of
anything
her.
else.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't get anything else. So now you can kind of play the game of, oh, well, I'll use this to get that, and then use her to do all this other stuff.
sure. And to your point, I was looking up. I thought getting artifacts from the graveyard to the play was a way broader ability, right?
Mm-mm.
And there's very few ways to do it. So
Yep.
this is certainly one of them. I don't love the fact that it costs so much just to get one thing out of it. But it is an artifact itself, so you can always sack it to KCI, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
It's definitely an interesting pick. I'll give you that one.
Well, and you could always look at it this way, Tuck. It's kind of like the mystery key. The initial investment of the three to get in, because I do agree, paying 8 to get one
Yeah,
thing back doesn't feel good. But if you do that once, and then every other time you do it, it's only 5. I think it
it's
becomes a
5.
little
Yeah,
easier to swallow. Especially if you're bringing back like some 9 drop. Like I don't have it in here, but like Dark Steel. Oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank.
what
All your
Colossus?
artifacts are indestructible.
Oh, Forge.
Forge, thank you. Dark Steel, like a Dark Steel Forge. It's like, oh, okay. Well, I don't feel that bad, and now I got this massive thing out for basically 5. But
Right.
it is one of the sweatier ones. I will say for sure.
It's Darksteel Forge is $42.
Yep.
What? Egregious.
Well, what is your second grain?
So I think this card is not only one of the best cards in the deck. I think it's a great card that should be played more in Commander because not only is it an artifact, it's also a creature that you can tap to surveil, and it's also legendary, and it's also an equipment.
And it's also a jellyfish.
Yeah, do we match on this one?
Three, two,
Yes,
one.
the reality
Reality
chip.
chip.
Yeah,
Colorless
I'm
blue, legendary artifact, creature, equipment, jellyfish, rare. Ah,
you almost had as much as I had to say. $3.20. You may look at the top card of your library at any time. Slam dunk. As long as the reality chip is attached to a creature, you may play lands and cast spells from the top of your library. And then it's reconfigure two, which is two colorless and a blue to attach to target creature you control or unattach from a creature. And then I love how when it's attached, it's not a creature, so it still lives through board wipes the same way equipment would.
mhm.
But I mean, this circus of value on this thing out the gates is insane, right?
Yep.
looking at the top card, being able to surveil itself, right? And then eventually being able to play the cards off the top to cycle through your deck extremely fast. It's kind of like, I mean, it's like definitely a little bit of a Rube Goldberg machine, but it's like not near as good, but it's around like a top or like a Bolus of Citadel or
Sure.
Mystic Forge sort of team, right? Where it's like you're gonna get easily with a couple of cards, you're gonna be able to set up the top of your deck and really churn through your library.
Yeah, the thing that I really liked about this card in this deck specifically is the fact that you can look at the top card of your library at any time. Because one could argue, like, do I have to save all my surveil stuff until the person before me goes to end step, so then that way I have blockers? Well, now it's like you can start looking and it's like, I don't need this land. Okay, yeah, tap, get it out of there. It's
Yeah,
almost like this ability makes it to where you're automatically just top card of library to graveyard. That's just
yeah,
what it
yeah,
is.
yeah.
Top card of library to graveyard, get it done with.
Absolutely.
And you can dig through your library, or if you like early game, you see a bunch of that big stuff up there, and you're like, I don't need this stuff.
Yeah.
Let's tap the reality chip. Let's tap our commander.
I'm
Let's
not getting
surveil that
yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
I'm not getting to these 10 drops anytime soon, right?
No.
So either bin them or we'll figure it out some later time.
All right. Well, what is your sorry for the video audience, that is reality chip. Totally forgot to put that up on screen for you guys. What is your final yeast card? Or
So
grain
another
card?
great pick, straight from the Warhammer, which is a goofy commander in and of itself, but again is another card which is a great pick in here, and that's Belisarius Call
Oh yeah.
from Warhammer. 2/4, 2 colors, a white and a blue for legendary artifact creature human. It's a rare for 15 cents. It has two abilities. Ultima Founding, which is tap two untapped artifacts you control, create a 2/2 white Astartes warrior creature token with vigilance. Then it has Master of Machines. Tap X untapped creatures you control. Look at the top X cards of your library. You may reveal an artifact card from among them, put it in your hand, put the rest in the bottom of your library in random order. So again, like if we're dealing with the tap synergies, which we absolutely are,
Yep.
this just gives us another way, another choice, right? Where it's like, well, I don't really want to surveil, right? I'd rather like look through a bunch and put him on the bottom, right? So instead of
Mhm.
tapping and surveilling 10 times, we're going to do the second ability on him once, right? Or I'm trying to build up my army. I'm trying to have these big payoffs with some tokens and some token generators. So I'm just going to tap down everything. I already know what I want to draw. Now I'm gonna create 4 creatures instead of scrying 8 times. So
Yeah.
I just think it's a really cool pick and just gives you a lot of fluidity to do things to do more than what you're just forced to do with your commander.
Yeah, I completely agree. You know, it's weird how the 40K decks, everyone was kind of like iffy about like the whole themed aspect before
Yeah.
it came out. But now it's like more and more when we're doing like these deck techs and kind of, doing some deep diving into the internet, there's a lot of gems in those 40K decks.
Oh
They're
yeah.
really, really good. I still haven't opened them, but it kind of made me glad that I did buy the four precons because it's like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I could see these almost being the level of what was it, Commander 16? Was that the Atraxa?
Yeah, because
Yeah, I think that's all the four colors.
14 was Prosh. No, sorry, Prosh was 13. 14 was
The Planeswalkers.
Planeswalkers. 15 was the two colored ones, and then 16. Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, because I
I think
think
it was
that
16.
16 I think 16 is still, like, from a resale value, like, the highest, of
Yeah,
all of
yeah,
them.
yeah.
And I honestly think these 40K decks in a year or 2, like, if you wanted to go buy a precon, it'll probably be $150 for, like, the
Oh, the
normal
Warhammer ones.
non-foil. Yeah,
Oh, for
normal
sure.
non-foil,
Yeah.
yeah. All right. Well, that's going to wrap up the grain profile. Now, before we head to the next section, we would love for you guys to check out our Etsy store, etsy.com, CMD Tower in the search bar. That's where you'll find our foil play mats, our Jund sweaters. You're going to see our reminder tokens. You're going to find our great coin, especially with all the coin flip stuff going out. Just anything you guys could do to help support us there would be very appreciated at etsy.com, CMD Tower in that search bar. Now we're going to head to the hot profile. And Tuck, um, what is your first hop card? We got not a ton, but got some interesting ones.
So the first one I want to do, I want to take this card out for a trot because I think this is the third time you put this card into a deck, and I love it.
Uh,
But a lot of people might see this and go, "Nay."
Oh,
We're talking the horse, baby, the curling horse.
so
What am I?
good in here.
This is such a sleeper for you all the time. Four colorless. Oh, bad news. It's in my mono. I did put it into my mono black kill creatures deck, but I'm actually turning that into the mono black Gix. So I don't think this one's gonna make that. Well, wait a minute. This still makes a cut there, right? Because then they just attack with the 1/1, lose a life, and draw a card, right?
Yeah, but then one of your opponents has a defender.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Good point. So, anyways, the horse, if you will, is four colorless for an 0/4 artifact creature horse with defender. When it ETBs, an opponent gains control of it. And then at the beginning of your upkeep, each opponent creates a 1/1 white soldier creature token. So, again, it's an artifact that you can't really interact with, which is kind of funny. But I just love like the fact that you're just getting a free like there's it's the amount of hoops that someone has to jump through to get rid of this thing is like baffling, you know? Like,
And
are
then
they really
Tuck,
gonna waste their own?
the reason it's in here is because when they get rid of it, you just bring it back and do
Oh
it
yeah.
again.
I
The
will do it.
horse
I will
will
take it.
not die.
I think it's great. So again, it's definitely a cute pick. It's kind of slimy, but I do think it's funny in this deck, especially.
Now, I will say, if you wanted to make this work for your mono black deck, you just need to put Homeward Path in, and then there you go. You take the
Oh
horse back, and then
yeah,
your opponents
yeah.
always get the 1/1s, and then hopefully that they're hitting each other.
That's pretty good actually. And I have a
Yeah,
spare homeward path. Let's go. It's happening.
there you go. All right. Well, my next one is typically a terrible card for its price. It's 7 mana to cast this thing, but it's in here because we can plane cycle, and it's an artifact, which I
Oh,
totally forgot about. We are talking one of my favorite creature types, Angel of the Ruins.
oh, this
So,
card's so good.
5 colorless white, white. Like I said, it's a lot. Artifact creature angel flying. When it DTBs, exile up to 2 artifacts and or enchantments. It's a 5/7, but it has plane cycling. So 2 colorless, discard this card, search your library for a plains card. Doesn't have to be a basic, and put it into your hand, then shuffle. So I see this card being good in multiple phases. Early phase, we got it. Even if it's on top and you can surveil it, it's like I'll actually put this to hand and then I'll just cycle it for 2, go get, tutor up a
Yep.
land, and then that way I can hit my land drops. It will, this is one of the ones I was kind of talking about where it will take up 70% of Tocasia's activated ability, but you are exiling artifacts and enchantments, which are very difficult, or at least enchantments are very difficult to deal with,
Yep.
and they don't come back when Angel of Ruins dies. So you can then
Yeah.
sack it, do it again. It's basically just kind of a good way where it's like I know I always have this utility artifact in the yard, and whether I'm using Tocasia or like the proto matter powder for 5, I'm getting this and I'm going to be exiling 2 things whenever I need to.
Yeah. I agree. I like you don't have to sell me on this card. I like it even though it is overcosted. Just the exile. I think you really hit the nail on the head with the if it was exile until it leaves the battlefield, then it's like
Yeah.
okay, this should probably be like 5, right?
Hmm.
Or 6 at most. But I just love the fact it just flat out gets them. So it's great. It's great in the early game to fill out your hands and smooth out your lands. It's great in the mid game, just takes care of some troublesome artifacts. And again, it's even great in the late game just for the same reason, right? They have a cloner. It's just an overall slam dunk card, especially for $1.
Yeah. Well, and you can get the Brothers War copy for 27 cents. So there you go.
Hey,
All right. Well, what's your second hop card?
all right. So this is one. This is a card that I used to kind of run in almost every white deck because I thought it was just a good sweeper, and then I realized that most white decks can't really use it. But in this one, I feel like this is definitely one of the cards in here that ends up being like a 6 for 1 for you because it gets everything that you want into the graveyard, including your commander, and just completely BFs all your opponents.
Yep.
Are we on this?
No, of course not.
Oh, we're not. Okay. Cataclysmic Gear Hulk. One
Oh,
is
you just threw me for a loop. I thought you were talking to Chroma's Vengeance.
Oh no! Cataclysmic Gear Hulk's way better than Chroma's Vengeance, in my opinion. Way better. So 3 colorless, but like I still put it does kind of describe Chroma's Vengeance. I don't really play that much anymore. But Cataclysmic Gear Hulk is 3 colorless and a double white for 4/5 artifact construct. That's a mythic, even though it really probably shouldn't be. That's a 4/5. When it ETBs, each player chooses an artifact, a creature, an enchantment, and a planeswalker from among the non-land permanents they control, then sack the rest. I love it, right? Kill your keep your best creature, your
Yep.
best artifact. There's not a planeswalker in sight here, so don't even worry about that. There's barely any enchantments, or there's a handful, but nothing like crazy, right? There's not enough to where if you sacrifice, you'll always have one to keep, right?
Yeah.
So you keep your four best things, put everything into the yard. The next turn, just bring back everything else that you wanted, including your commander, right?
Yep.
So, and it's a 4/5 vigilance. Like that's a big threat for 5. I really struck out to me how strong this deck is, or how strong this creature is in this deck.
Yeah, it's just like the Angel of Ruins, where you kind of have this repeat pseudo
Yes.
board wipe or removal that you can always have ways to get it out of the yard, and then even when you cast it, you don't have the gut wrenching like crap. I guess I got to do this. It's like, oh no,
Mhm.
I want to do this. Tocasia, get in
Right.
that graveyard. Everything else, get in the
Yeah.
graveyard.
Everything else, get the hell out of here.
Get the hell out of here. All right. Well, my next one is such a cool card for this deck specifically. It's a 1 drop, and let's just say we're gonna have a little insect action happening here with Haywire Might.
Oh yeah, this wait shit. I wasn't paying attention. Yes, yeah. I have this one
There you
too.
go.
Hey, where am I? It's
Colorless artifact
incredible.
creature insect. When Haywire Might dies, you gain 2 life. But what is that activated ability, Tuck?
It's incredible. So, for a green, sack it, exile target non-creature artifact or non-creature enchantment. What a
Who
blowout,
the
right?
hell
It's like,
cares that it's non-creature? Like,
yeah, right.
great.
You're not using what's that one? Caustic Caterpillar to blow up a freaking worm token. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like
Yeah, it's
you're
like,
using
oh,
it to get
cool,
rid of,
omniscience. Bye.
yeah, right. Propaganda, anything like that. Why did no one not say anything about this? Right? Like Caustic Cat. So for those playing the home game, Caustic Caterpillar is 1 green for a creature insect that's a 1/1. Colorless and green, sack it, destroy target artifact or enchantment. Right? So this is like just like that with a slight restriction. I guess
Yeah.
well, maybe that's why it's $2.30 for a bulk uncommon.
Yeah.
Maybe we're not the only ones who are picking this up.
Yeah, it's really, and the thing that I love the most about it is that it only costs 1, so it's only taking 10% of Tocasia's
Yes.
activated
Yeah,
ability.
yeah, yeah.
Like, it's such a low cost, like, it's gonna be very hard pressed to me where you're not bringing Haywire Might back every single time you do
Mhm.
Tocasia's ability.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm 100% on board with that too. It's just a blow. It's just such a sweet card. So, like I said, evidently it's being played somewhere else besides Commander, or else it wouldn't be $2.
Yeah, true. I mean, I could see this probably getting played in, like, Standard. I mean, it is a 1
Yeah, oh,
drop, and
for
it's a
sure.
run 4 of them in
With
your
the amount of
deck.
artifacts that have been printed out in the last 3 sets, like yeah, it's
Mhm.
gonna be, and with the artifacts coming in, Phyrexia Alchemy 1, it's gonna be really good.
Well, my last hop is another card that we can discard from hand to get an ability with an overcosted 7 normal cost. But with our commander, I think it's okay. And I think we're going to channel the Mirror Shell Crab. So, Mirror
Yeah,
Shell
it's
Crab,
good.
5 colorless blue artifact creature crab. It's 7 cents, really cheap. It's a 5/7 with ward 3. So, whenever it becomes a target of spell and ability an opponent controls, they have to pay 3 or it's countered. But the reason I put it in here, with it being an artifact, channel 2 colorless blue, discard Mirror Shell Crab, target counter target spell or ability unless its controller
Ability.
pays 3. I know you're not a big counter spell person. I know that's not
Sure.
really the theme of your play group because I guess a lot of people don't play blue and like doing that.
Yeah.
So this is kind of
No,
an
almost
easy
nobody.
way to have it in the 99. You at least have one way to counter stuff. And it's not just straight countered. Like if they could pay the 3, they pay the
Sure.
3. But now it's in the yard. And now you got a 5/7
Right.
with ward 3 that's going to be going out there. You're going to be surveilling. You're going to be hitting stuff. Maybe you have a way to bring it back to hand so that way you could channel it again. I just think this is
Sure.
a good utility card, but you very well could just say, hey, I'm going to cut this for disallow and be done with it.
Yeah,
And
right.
I
And
wouldn't have
and
an
just work with
argument.
that. No, I agree. Like, I think it's cute. I think it's a cute card. And the fact that it's like an artifact creature is kind of wonky. So it's a 5/7. You bring it back at the end. It's got the same stats and doesn't fly as the Angel of the Ruins. So I don't see a problem with this. And like you said, I don't like playing raw counter spells. I'd rather play it in something like in some version of this.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's going to wrap up the hot profile and our last plug for the episode, abyssproxyshop.com. If you're looking for proxies, playtests, cool variant arts of your favorite cards, and only want to pay a pittance, a $3 to $5 pittance, you should head over. But when you do, use code CMD Tower. It'll get you 10% off your entire order. And it does help the channel out a little bit. So, they have a really cool custom catalog that I always talk about on every episode that if you go into there, you can search and actually find like my Game of Thrones deck on there. You can find my Najila old woodblock Japanese art deck. Just a lot of really, really cool ideas. They'll work with you on custom cards as well, and they even do full custom decks like they've done for me. So if you're looking for some proxies for your more expensive Magic the Gathering collection, or just want to have a really fun meme deck where you pick all the different cards, use code CMD Tower for 10% off at abyssproxyshop.com. And now we're going to head over to the East. And Tuck, this is where the
We
fun
got some
begins.
options.
So, the first card I'm going to talk about is effectively the artifact creature version of a certain enchantment that turns all those non creature artifacts into artifact creatures. And we are talking the Cyber Drive Awakener.
Blowout.
Five
Yes,
color.
we are, sir. Yes, we are.
God, you're so
It's
slow
not a,
tonight.
we haven't. I'm out of it. Leave me alone. I haven't had my coffee. I've only had my mud water. I keep look.
Five
I'm looking.
colorless blue artifact creature construct. It's almost $6. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
It has flying. Other artifact creatures you control have flying. And then Tuck, what is that activated or that
Oh, it's
triggered
so good.
ability?
When it enters the battlefield until end of turn, each non-creature artifact you control becomes an artifact creature with base power and toughness 4/4. So it's
So
just
good.
another version of Rise and Shine, but
Hmm.
you don't have to deal with the freaking counters on it. So
Yep.
you'd be proud. After playing Lannis in Vegas, I realized that there wasn't a lot of win cons in it. So
Okay.
this is one of the cards that I came across when I took apart some pre-cons that I'd bought that I had no interest in playing and slapped that right in there.
There you go.
Because it's just think about that coming in and bashing people in the face. Do you think that if you wanted to make this a little stronger, we'd put in some more treasure support or some other of those smaller tokens, or does that get too far out of the game? Does that get too far away from the theme because they're not
Well,
repeatable, right?
I think it becomes like to where we have our secret win con in the yeast. It's like how much you want to lean into that versus how much you want to lean into
Yeah,
Tocasia's activated ability. I think if you're wanting to do more of, yeah, I just want tons of tokens to go into this secret card, then I think you would do that. But if you wanted to, because I think I have it pretty balanced right now,
yeah,
things
I
that
agree.
create tokens and creatures versus stuff that you want to recur and things to sacrifice to do her ability. So it's just more where you want to kind of float your spectrum. It's about a 50-50 right now, and I think your tweaks will kind of push it one way or the other.
Yeah,
All
yeah,
right.
definitely. I
Well,
love it.
since we shared, what is your next one? Are
Okay,
you doing it?
no, I'm not.
Oh.
I'm leaving it to you. Why don't you go so we can
Well,
just
no, because I
quick.
have another card to talk about before I get to that one.
Oh, okay. So I like this idea again. I think if we want to keep going with the creature style, we need more ways to get them out, right? And we're not going to be able to talk about them all, but we do have some big, strong men or robots in this yeast package, right? So I think like giving those the combat damage and kind of pushing out damage that way is going to be a way to really close out the game or at least kind of get there. And I feel that if you're doing that already, we might as well make more tokens to fill out the rest of our battle plan.
Okay.
And in that, I feel like Scepter of Celebration is a great pick.
It
So
is a good
two
one.
colorless and a, two colorless and a green for an artifact equipment that's rare from the new Capenna precons for 26 cents. Equipped creature has +2/+0 and has trample. Then whenever equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, create that many 1/1 green and white citizen creature tokens. It has 3/3. It has equip of 3/3. So again, with the Cyber Driver Awakener, with some of the other big things that we have in here, and even our commander itself, right? She'll be a 6/3 trampler with vigilance, right? That's enough to get through and just make some
Yeah.
tokens. Like someone that's going to be able to chip through to somebody, right? So
Hmm.
even if we're not making 1,000 tokens off of this, but we're making 4 a turn, 5 a turn
Yep.
over and over again and putting in damage and stacking up that way, I think it's great. I think it's a
Mhm.
really cool inclusion in here.
Yeah. No, I think you hit everything on the head. The one thing that you would have to be careful of, because you mentioned Cyberdrive Awakener, is you would have to do Cyberdrive, then Scepter of Celebration, because it would then
Right.
become a creature, and then you wouldn't get any of the
Oh, I see.
effects.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that would be the only kind of gimmick with it. But I
Right.
think Scepter of Celebration is going to really feed into the secret win of the deck that people just aren't going to see coming. They're just going to think you're making
Correct.
a bunch of go wide stuff, like, where's your Anointed Procession coming? When's your doubling season coming down?
Mhm.
When's your Cathar's Crusade coming down? And you're like, no, 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 I'm not doing any of that.
Yeah, I got something even better. I
Yeah.
got one more.
All right. Well, my next one I wanted to talk about is a very popular card in artifact decks, but it's key to this, and I think you'll be okay with it because once again, it's you have to wait a rotation to use it, and it is a tutor. But
Oh,
it helps get to our win con. So we are going to talk a little bit about Kadoltha Forge Master. Artifact creature construct. It's a little under $8 now. Holy crap! It's a
yep.
3/5 and tap sack 3 artifacts, which it can sack itself. Search your library for an artifact card, put it on the battlefield, then shuffle. It's repeatable because it's going to take up 50% of Tocasia's activated ability, and it will go get what we need for the particular situation. Now, normally I have this my tutors in the hops because I feel like it's more
Sure.
interactive. It's like, what are my opponents doing, and what do I need to go get to deal with that? But I think the way that you play isn't so much that's why you're tutoring. I feel like you're tutoring to either accelerate your own board or just like I want to go get something kind of interesting. So that's why I thought it kind of
Correct.
fits more
Yeah.
the yeast package for this deck because of how you pilot. Versus if this was my deck, I think I'd have this as a hop.
And the hops, right. Yeah, I agree. Like I wouldn't use this just to go fetch out a talisman or something like that, right? I'd go get the reality chip or something along those
Yeah,
lines. Especially with the ruling now in our play group that you have to take a bean if you want to go tutor. And it's horrible.
so
I
dumb.
feel like though, I feel like though we need to revisit this rule because okay, I'm paying like I think it's I know that you think it's dumb, right? But do you
Yes.
feel like the way that we could fix it is like that's just for tutoring for anything? But if it's something that like has limitations like this is a whole lot of steps to go through just to go get something out of your library, right?
Yeah. I
So like
mean,
I feel like if you're doing it this way, you should not be penalized for it.
yeah, but then that just becomes a really slippery slope because if you just play
Yeah,
an artifact deck, it effectively is tutor anything you want.
right.
So, yeah,
So
I
that's what
think
like
maybe you
I
put a
think that's why
mana
we've
thing
just been
on
like
it.
if you tutor.
Well, I
Oh,
think maybe if
okay.
you put a mana restriction, hey, if you do a tutor 3 mana or less, you whatever the penalty is, but 4 mana
You
or
take the
more,
bean.
that's fine. Yeah, because like a diabolic tutor, I don't feel like is a big deal. It costs 4 to do it.
Right. As opposed to
Um,
someone who goes vampire, mystic,
yeah,
demonic, right? Like
yep,
that's way more backbreaking.
yep,
Now,
Demon, yeah, all those.
now, do you count gamble in that as well?
That gamble would count.
Because I totally had to take a I totally had to take a bean to go get a soul ring on turn one with gamble,
Oh
and I
god,
kept it.
well, that means I'd be taking a bean to use my vampiric tutor to go get a land on turn 1.
You are correct, sir.
All right. Well, what is your final yeast card?
So I think I know why this is in here because it's awesome. Um, but I just like this card because I think it's cute. And this is going to be a way that we're really going to punish people for having a big library. And we're going to do it on a 6/4 body. So, Teresian Mindbreaker is another new artifact from Brothers War. It's 7 drop for 6/4 for 35 cents. It's an artifact creature, Juggernaut. Get it? Like, oh, I'm the Juggernaut.
Yeah, I totally
Yeah, get
forgot that
that.
that was Jason Statham, by the way.
No, it's Vinny. You're because you did forget that it's Vinny Jones.
Wait, it's not Jason Statham?
No, it's Vinny Jones.
It
Bbullet
totally looks like
Tony.
Jason Statham, doesn't it? I'm the
I guess if you don't
Juggernaut,
know who Vinny,
bitch.
I don't ask if you don't know who Vinny Jones is.
Yeah, who the hell is Vinny Jones? Is he related
Well,
to Casey Jones?
he's the Juggernaut. Hold on,
Is
let
that
me send
all
you. I'm
he
gonna send
is?
you. I'll send you a link. No, he's been in a gazillion things. You've seen Snatched, right?
Oh, okay. I know who you're talking about now.
It's
Yeah,
yeah, it's
yeah,
Bullet to Tony. Yeah, from
yeah.
Snatch. He's been in a million things. Supposed to be a real douchebag in IRL, but anyway, Back to Tessian Mindbreaker. When it attacks, doesn't deal damage, attacks, defending player mills half their library rounded up. And then it has Unearth 1 triple blue, where you can bounce it back to your graveyard, it gains haste, exile at the beginning unless it moves. You only do as a sorcery. So
Yep.
I just like this that for 7 mana, we're dinging someone for half their library on attack, right?
Hmm.
I think that's really awesome. I also like the fact that it plays into the graveyard strategy any way you cut it, right?
Yep.
So, okay, maybe I don't want to pay the 70% of what Toskia is doing right now, right? Or Tocasia, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm not I don't
Whatever
want
her name is.
yeah, the dig site engineer. How about that? Or dig site mentor. Um I don't want to pay that. So I'm just going to leave it there and with my leftover mana or next turn, I'm just going to unearth it and put
Sure.
someone else out of the game, right?
Yep. Yeah.
So that's why I think it's really cool.
For me, this was just.
A beater.
Yeah, it really is just a beater, and I think you could replace this with, like, we don't have a Mere Battlesphere in the deck, so you could replace this with Mere Battlesphere, and it's whatever. I just thought this would be a good way if you have someone, um, that you just kind of need to get them out, or I just need to take away more of their resources
Yeah,
because they're actually the ones that's kind of dealing me the most issues. Yeah,
sure.
you could surveil it on turn 3, turn 4 unearth it. Okay, half your library gone. Just like,
Yep,
I
exactly.
get it, Testian or Teresian Mindbreaker is now exiled for the rest of the game, but you know what? I needed to cut you down a peg because you're doing a lot of stacks pieces, or you're doing a lot of
Absolutely.
artifact removal or hate.
Well, and like to your point, right? It's a creature and an artifact. So you're like, okay, cool. Like I'm unearthing it, and then it's paying itself back from the Ashnod's altar I played on turn 2, right?
Yeah,
So I think there's enough utility to do with creatures that are leaving the battlefield, or like we're gonna get some use out of this, right? Not just the attack. That's gonna be the best part, but we'll get some of the mana back or something along those lines.
for sure. All right. Well, it's here. We've talked
Is this
about
it?
it. It's Tuck's new favorite card, Halo Fountain.
Yeah,
Finally found a way to make it
love
work
it.
organically.
It's so good. It's so
And
good.
two colorless white, it's an artifact. So when people blow it up, you bring it back.
Yes, you
It's
bring it right
stupid.
back.
And it has 3 activated abilities. A white, tap, untap, tap creature you control. Make a 1/1 green white citizen creature token. Super easy. Like, hey, I surveilled, and now I'm going to untap that creature and then make a
Yeah,
citizen. I just, got an additional token. White, white, tap, untap, 2 tap creatures you control. Draw a card. Same type of deal. Surveilled twice. I looked at that, surveilled, and I was like, you know what? I actually want that card. I'll surveil again, do nothing. Boom, I'm going to draw it.
yep,
And then the Grand Kahima, white, 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 tap, untap 15 tap creatures, you win the game. So, the argument I've always had for Tuck is the way creatures get tapped is you attack. And if you attack with
correct.
16, they could just get you to 14 and you can't do anything. This card with Dixite Engineer allows you to win on the spot because you can
Yes,
just surveil 15 times, literally do nothing, leave that same card on top, and then for 5 white, there you go, you win. So I think
yep.
it's sneaky good. I think it's something
I
that people won't see coming the first time you play the
correct.
deck. But I could see this being that, uh-oh, Tuck has Dixite Engineer. Everyone get ready for Halo Fountain. Because with
Right.
Godolpha
Yeah.
Forge
Yeah.
Master,
It's gonna come.
in the amount of surveilling we're doing, it's just
Yeah.
going to be so easy to get to this card.
Yeah. I agree. I think it's great. I like that. When I read that, it took me a second to piece it all together, but it's awesome. Like, I just I love this card. I want to put it in more decks, and like I think that this deck wins with this card, but also
Yeah.
functions with it too, right?
Hmm.
Like everything that it's doing everything that we want to do organically. So when I read that in the description, I was like, okay, like we're cooking with something here. Like we got a little paprika on this sandwich, and I'm ready for it.
Who just puts paprika on a sandwich?
Just to give it a little spice, just
Just
a
a
little
little
taste.
taste.
Just a little taste for God's sakes. I'm not talking about getting blind drunk.
Well, that's going to complete our yeast package. And now we're going to head over to the spice. And Tuck, we got a lot of spice. But the
Yeah,
question
yeah.
is are you going with the one that I think I'm going with, or maybe you're incubating?
I am not. I wanted you to
Oh,
have that one. I got
all
another one that
right.
I like because it's cute. Because it's
All right.
real
What is it?
cutesy. All right. Oh, I'm going first. I'm
Yeah.
going with the I'm going with the ramrod. I'm going give me that rod. I think this is like a sneaky good, one of the best pieces of interaction in the deck. Like arguably should be a hop. Because Rod of Absorption is 2 colorless and a white, or sorry, a blue for an artifact from AFR, 25 cents. Whenever a player casts an instant or sorcery spell, exile it instead of putting it into a graveyard as it resolves. Nailed it.
Yep.
X tap, sacrifice it. You may cast any number of spells from one card exiled with Rod of Absorption with total mana value X or less without paying their mana cost. So this thing's just stacking up. Like, it sucks if it's like if the best that you can do this is counterspell, I
Sure.
guess, right? But like demonic tutor, other tutor, like you're playing their own cards against them as soon as you can get it out, right? So I think we're playing a whole lot of instants and sorceries, and I'm gonna take.
No, we're not. Uh-oh, I think we lost Tuck. Well, while we work through a little technical issue for our online audience, we'll be right back. All right, we're back and we got Tuck back. We'll flog him later. But
Sorry.
for our video listeners, we are just going to start from the top of Rod of Absorption for the spice package. So we are recording now in 3, 2, 1. All right, Tuck, spice package time. What do you got?
I'm not choosing the one that you want because it's too good, and I'm sure you have a whole 9 yards about it, which I'm excited to hear. So I'm taking that Ramrod. We're talking
Oh,
about our boy
Rod.
Rod of Absorption. It's like it's sneaky good, I think. So arguably could be a hop, but it is a little goofy. So 2 colorless and a blue for an artifact. Whenever a player casts an instant or sorcery spell, exile it instead of putting it into a graveyard as it resolves. And then you can also do X tap, sacrifice it. You may cast any number of spells from among cards exiled with Rod of Absorption with total mana value X or less without paying their mana cost. So in an effort to figure out how to crash my computer so efficiently, I went through and reorganized our categories. We have precisely 2 sorceries, no instants,
Yep.
39 artifacts, 21
Yep.
creatures. So I kind of see this as like a sort of repeatable, because it's a pretty low 30% for this
Yep.
repeatable effect, a way to draw cards, to tutor, to maybe counterspell in a pinch, spot creature removal, or kind of do all of it, right? I'm feeling like I'm sitting until there's like 4, 5, 6 cards underneath here, and then being able to make my choice after that.
So the reason it's a spice is a pretty easy one. It's because I think people are going to want to get rid of this. So I think this will be something people
Ah,
use their artifact removal on.
it's just gonna be
And
toast on, yeah.
because when you bring it back, it's now a new target. So everything you exiled with it, you won't have access to. Now it does stay in
Sure, yeah,
exile, which is great.
which is good,
But
yeah.
that is the kind of crappy part about it. It's one of those, like you said, oh, I'm saving up till I get 5 or 6 or 7, and then right before you want to do it, someone blows it up, and you're like,
Yeah,
well,
right, right,
shit. Now
right.
I got to start
Yeah,
over.
right
So
before you untap, yeah, for
yep.
sure.
So yeah, that's the only reason it's there. But I see this card as one of the cheating ways to get around the fact that we run literally no instants and
Yeah.
2 sorceries, kind of like how I have that permanent restriction on my Brutaclad deck, yet I run Shark Typhoon with cycling to kind of get around it.
Yep.
I see this as a way of like we wanted as many artifacts and creatures as we could, but it is good to have instants and sorceries, so it's a 75% deck. Whatever you
Yeah.
guys are doing, now I'm going to
I'm
get.
gonna
And
do.
yeah, I guess if you want to blow this up versus the Halo Fountain, be my guest.
Go ahead. Waste your removal, right?
Yep.
I'd be more than happy for you to. And it's
Yep.
artifact, which is sweet as well.
Yep, absolutely. All right. Well, this is a secret spice of the deck. It gets comboed with Lightning Greaves, which everyone knows, 2 colorless artifact
Yep.
equipment. Equip for 0, equip creature gets haste and shroud. We're talking Mere Incubator.
Put me back in the incubator, baby. Put me back in there.
So, Tuck, have you ever seen this card?
No, never.
Good. Because
How
it's
did
probably
you find this?
not. Just trying to search. I think I just typed in artifacts into Scryfall and just started scrolling through like 30 or 40
I
pages.
made it all the way to made it way all the M.
So Mirror Incubator costs 6. It's $1.12 from Mirrodin. It's an artifact.
Which I think
6
is, to be fair, a little overcosted.
6
This is
colorless
a
tap.
50% rare.
Sacrifice Mirror Incubator. Search your library for any number of artifact cards. Exile them, then create that many 1/1 colorless mirror artifact creature tokens, then shuffle. So Tuck, when we look at our pie chart, how many artifacts do we have in this deck?
A lot. We have at least pie chart. Oh, that pie chart.
We at
Oh, I
least
never
have
noticed that before.
39.
Yeah, 30. We have 39, but that's just artifacts, and because
Yep,
tapped out doesn't count artifact creatures.
correct. So we
So
probably
on
have like
top of that,
45 or 50 artifacts that we could do.
hold
So the
on
night,
one
what's
second.
up?
Okay, so I don't know if this is by accident or not. Each creature is also an artifact. Every creature in this deck is an
Oh,
artifact creature.
oh no, I definitely did not do that
So
on purpose.
we have 50 targets for this thing.
So the nice thing about, well, no, that'd be more because
Well,
39
because we
plus
also
22.
39 plus 21. Okay, so that's
Oh yeah, 21 if you don't
60.
count the commander. Yeah, 60. So,
And then and then a handful of lands as well.
oh yeah, because I got
Like
like
6.
5 or 6. So yeah, almost the entire deck as a target. So the thing I like about this is you're doing your stuff, you got your Halo Fountain. It's like, okay, I'm ready to win. Mirror Incubator, maybe you're bringing out with Tocasia's ability. I
Yeah.
don't know how you're doing it, but once you get that on the battlefield, you activate it, you exile exactly however many creatures you need, or how many artifacts you need to make the creatures to get to 15. And then once you got them, you move Lightning Greaves to each one, Surveil one, and you've won the game. So it is a Rue Goldberg machine because technically
Yes.
it takes 4, 10, 16, 18, 23, 26 mana all in to get it done.
To do it one turn.
To do it, yeah, if you were doing it in one turn, you need 26 mana.
I think people are going to be so baffled when you play this card. They're just going to be like, I don't know what you're doing, right? So, like, to me, I'd go like this. I would think about this like turn order that you could do, right? Turn 2 Lightning Greaves, turn 3 Tocasia, turn 5 Incubator, turn 6 Halo Fountain, and close to winning. You're winning on the next turn, right?
You should if you've ramped, but that's
Yes.
effectively meaning you're winning in 7 turns, which is about
Yeah.
normal. Like a normal game of
Yeah, right.
EDH goes 7 to 11 turns, somewhere in there.
Well, and it's such a goofy interaction too, right? Where it's
Mhm,
like, okay, they kill this or they stifle this. Sure, I'm just gonna pump out a bunch of other creatures anyways with my other tokens and
mhm.
do Halo Fountain the old-fashioned way. Okay, in response to this, you're gonna kill Halo Fountain. Great, I'll just get 40 mirror tokens and just beat you in upkeep. Right? Like it's so goofy.
Yeah, and it's nice that it doesn't do a sorcery speed restriction because they didn't really
Yes.
do that
Oh,
back then. So yeah,
yeah.
Tuck, to your point, you could be like, you know what? It's down to me and one other person. Let me just go ahead and pay 6 at the end of their turn, and I'll exile every artifact I have left and just get that
Right.
many 1/1s and just go to town.
Yeah, and I'm just gonna win. I'm just gonna win through brute force with
Damage.
it at the
Yeah.
tail end of the game. Yeah. So again,
Um,
very cute pick. I think this and the gods or the Halo Fountain combo is very spicy. It's very sweaty. The way I like it
Very
too.
sweaty. All right. Well, that's going to wrap up the spice package. And now we're going to head over to the bottle capping. And as a reminder, these are going to be Big Tucks, 3 cuts, and a card that he's going to add for under $5, under 50, and then he has one where he has no budget. So Big Tuck, let's get going.
Okay.
What do you think you're going to cut? And then what spicy card are you going to put in place?
So the first one is I have a kind of like a functional upgrade, in my opinion. I have one that has a little bit of a drawback, but I think it's going to help us win more. And
Okay.
then I have one that's goofy, okay, or
All
that
right.
like it's super synergistic. So the first one is I'm going to cut Shimmer Mirror, 3 colorless. Just listen to me out, hear me out, because we talked about this recently. We talked about this recently, and you're gonna like this. 3 colorless for a 2/2 artifact creature mirror with flash. You may cast artifact spells as though they have flash. Vital to the deck strategy,
Yep.
absolutely vital to the strategy. However, I feel that for almost the same amount, you get a little bit more extra with. I know this is one of my new sneaky favorite cards in artifact decks. Liberator. Oh no, my brother hears this is gonna kill me. Or gonna make fun of me so bad. Liberator Urza's Battlethopter. So 3 colorless for legendary artifact creature Thopter. It's a 1/2 with flash and flying, and it says you may cast colorless and artifact spells as though they had flash. And then whenever you cast a spell, if the amount of mana spent to cast that spell is greater than Liberator, put a 1/1 counter on it. So for me, we really have no drawback from the legendary clause in here, unless you want to copy and make a bunch of
Sure.
shimmer mirrors. So for me, I just think this is almost like a functional upgrade. I like it. I like it.
Now, do you think it would be better to just leave Shimmer Mirror in and then cut the Luck and
And,
Ori for
and
Liberator
cut something
Urza's
else.
Battlethopter? I mean, you already said it. You
Uh,
only got 2 sorceries in the deck. Everything's an artifact.
Yeah, I get. Yeah, I guess, the only argument that you could have there is that Battlethopter's a creature, which are pretty easy to kill, whereas Vidalcan Orrery is just an artifact. But that's it's also an artifact creature, so it really gets splits either way. I don't know. I never thought about that before. I guess yeah, right? Especially because and to your point, Vidalcan Orrery doesn't tap for Halo Fountain, doesn't tap to
Correct.
Surveil, doesn't
Yep.
do anything, right? It like
Yep.
okay, sure, it'll be a 4/4 with Cyberdrive Awakener, but by then Liberator's kind of a bunch of one counters. Yeah, I think that's probably the better cut for this
Yeah.
deck, especially, right?
The only advantage I see with Ori would be you could cast your commander because it doesn't say from hand. It just says you may cast on-land
Oh
cards though they
yeah,
had
yeah,
flash.
yeah,
So I guess you could Tocasia whenever you feel like it. That's really the only advantage, huh? You know what? We'll keep it as Shivermere being cut, but I think if you
sure,
actually build this deck, I think that might be something to play around with in the list.
yeah, I
And
agree.
you
And
hate Ori, so
well, yes, and especially because I didn't sell my copies before the price plummeted to $5 because it just got
yeah, $5.
reprinted.
Good
It's
lord.
insane.
I guess Game
So,
Nights isn't as popular.
the other well, of course not, because they suck. Hashtag coming for you, Jimmy. So
So mean.
I was gonna say the last thing on Bulldog and Ori is you don't even our commander coming in at flash speed doesn't really matter unless it's just like because her abilities herself, like she doesn't need to be tapped to get activated, right?
Correct.
So
Yeah, it would just be more the protection, or I'm
elemental
just
supplies,
leaving mana
yeah,
up because you don't know what I'm going to do type thing. So,
sure.
all right. Well, what are you doing for an under 50 cut and add?
So this is gonna be I'm cutting this card because I think the one that I'm going to put in is will help you win more efficiently at a cost. So I'm actually
Okay.
going to cut Protomatter Powder just because it costs you a lot.
No.
It costs you a lot, and I like the individual targets to it, right? But for me, eventually people I think are going to get wise to your commander, and they're going to make it more difficult for you to get her out, or
Okay.
they're going to play around it a little bit more. So for me, having another backup to do the same thing that she does at sorcery speed is worth it. Even though it might help your opponents in a pinch, but I think Open the Vaults is going to be a win more card than the powder itself. So Open the Vaults is 4 colorless, double white for return for sorcery that's return all artifacts and enchantment cards from all graveyards to the battlefield under their owner's control. Ours is nothing to enchant, remain in graveyards. About $2. So the way I see this is unless you're in a really bad matchup, we're going to get way more bang for our buck off this. It's like a living death, right?
Hmm.
Where if you're playing living death in the right deck, you should always get more value out of it than your opponents. So even though you're giving some of it back, I like the idea of okay, I can't cast Toskia again. I have Halo Fountain, Mirror Incubator, and Lightning Greaves in my graveyard, and now I'm going to be able to potentially win very close to on the spot, if not right on it. Right.
Well,
So
You wouldn't because you still need
If you unless you
Tocasia for the activated ability of the Surveil because that's
Oh,
how you
sure.
win with Halo Fountain.
Right, right, right. So either way, like I just like that you can get a way more back at
Sure.
almost the same cost than proto matter than one target at a time.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to argue with you too much there. I would, my I guess my thing with it is open the vault. If it ends up being in the top of your library and you want to
Yeah,
surveil, you
yeah.
can't because you
Yeah,
have
yeah, yeah.
zero ways of getting it back in this deck. So it kind of becomes that whole Gisa and Geralt thing where I'm really challenged. Like, do I want to play them and mill four? Because if I don't mill zombies, I'm never getting those
I'm
cards
never
back.
getting it back. Yeah.
And so
You gotta be
that's kind
smart.
of
You
what you're
got
going to have to deal with here.
yeah.
So but hey, I mean, maybe it works better, maybe it doesn't. And or maybe you're just scared of overcosted old
I'm
cards that
just
cost a dime.
I'm just scared. Look, it scares me, all right? I've looked into the eye of the devil and he blinked. But proto matter powder, that's the one that really gets me up.
Jesus. All right, no budget. You can put any card in here you want. What are you going to cut?
Yeah.
And what are you going to do?
So I'm not sure. I might have missed something, but I'm cutting Godsend question mark.
So yeah, I mean, here, for the
Uh,
YouTube and video audience, Godsend, colorless, white, white, legendary artifact equipment. Equipped creature gets +3/+3. Whenever equipped creature
yep.
blocks or becomes blocked by one or more, you may exile one of those creatures. Your opponents can't cast spells with the same name as the card exiled with Godsend equipped 3. For me, it's more. This was and it's like almost $7. Um,
Yeah, right.
for me, I wanted this card in here because I do think having like a little bit of equipment synergy is going to be a
Sure.
positive
Yeah.
for you. And this makes it to where no one's ever going to want to block. Like you
Yeah,
can just
right.
go swing with that particular creature. And then even if they do
Right.
blow up Godsend, you're bringing it back for only 30% of the activated ability cost. So that's really all it was. But it is a card that can easily be cut for something just
Yeah,
that makes more sense.
it's on her first and the real shocker is I'm not gonna so I was like, okay, like I see where I kind of see the tech with the equipment like you're talking about, but
Yeah,
like $7, I don't know. Like that seems like quite a bit, right?
that's a lot.
So, anyways, I'm cutting that with a card that is around the same costed. But this card is going to help us filter the top of our library, right? Potentially make even more creatures that we can tap, or and all three potentially win us the game in a non-traditional way because we're getting sieged with Mirrodin. Because we're talking Mirrodin besiege, baby. I can't believe you didn't put this one in there.
Ah, it didn't come up on
Ah,
the list.
what? It's $8 for an enchantment. And listen, my eBay purchasing addiction has finally come to roost because I bought 4 copies of this for $5 and paid no shipping. So now I'm up $15, baby. So Marauder Besiege is 2 colorless and a blue for an enchantment, which is not an artifact, whatever. As an ETBs, choose Mirren or Phyrexian. Mirren, whenever you cast an artifact spell, create a 1/1 colorless mirror artifact creature token, and then Phyrexian. At the beginning of your end step, draw a card, then discard a card. If there are 15 or more artifact cards in your graveyard, target opponent loses the game. So we're either generating dudes to tap down to fill our graveyard to bring stuff back, or we're just winning by shoveling everything off of Surveil into our graveyard and headshotting someone at the end of the round
So the
repeatedly.
reason it's not in the list is, as you mentioned, there's only two enchantments in this entire list. Smothering
Correct.
Tithe, obvious reasons. All that glitters, obvious reasons.
Obvious reasons.
This card, while I think it's good, it's going to be kind of the open the vault argument that I'm going to have to where
Oh,
if this
if
is
you
on
mill it, you're
top,
screwed. Yeah.
yeah, because if you mill Smothering Tithe, you're fine. It's just mana. If you mill all that
Yeah.
glitters, you're fine. It was just a way to maybe one shot someone because you have so many artifacts. But Mirrodin Besieged and Open the Vault, both of those, you're doing it as, oh, well, this will win me the game.
Yeah.
And it's
Right.
like
Right.
you don't
Right.
want to be milling your
Mill it,
win
throwing
game
that away.
cards
Sure.
and then you never get them back. So that's kind of more the argument that I have against these cards because I even know that Marketing Ross and SD Sharpie had recommended that enchantment where everything is all your non-creature artifacts become creature artifacts.
Rise and
Um,
shine. No. 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 No.
no, that's Force
March of the Machines.
March of the Machines. And that was kind of my argument against that. It's like, well, yeah, it's great when you get it out, but if you have to mill it, you literally have no ways of getting it back. So, for me, whenever
Fair
you
point.
build a graveyard synergy deck, you should have ways to get almost any card you want back out of that graveyard. Or you don't have a graveyard synergy deck.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
just
yeah,
what
yeah.
it is. Even in my Carador deck, I have Ewit in there to go get the sorceries, instants, and things that he
Sure.
can't go grab with the creatures. And Ewit's repeatable with Carador. Same thing in like Marin decks. So that's my only thing against this. But once again, it would be just kind of have to see how it plays out. Um, Maybe this ends up being like, yep, I'm just one shot. You guys better kill me this turn. Oh, you did. Now
Yep,
I'm going to
yeah,
kill
or else you're
you.
toast. Yeah.
So
Or else you're
maybe it could
dead.
work. But that would be the one thing I would caution you against is it
Mhm.
sucks when you mill the cards that you really like. If you built your deck around and it's going to win you the game, and you mill it.
Yeah. Yep, yeah, that is a horrible, horrible feeling.
Horrible, just
Horrible.
horrible. All right. Well, everyone, did you know that we are at the end of the episode? And thanks for hanging out with us on
Yeah.
this Tuesday morning, afternoon, whatever you want to call it. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe to us on Twitch, on YouTube, all the different platforms. If you would like to leave a little comment, we love reading those, and we do see them when you guys comment on
Yes.
the YouTube videos. Appreciate all the kind words. But if you'd like to get a hold of us, maybe send us recommendations or ask questions, here's the best way to do that. You can get a hold of me at Mr. Comment number 5 on Twitter, all spelled out except for the 5. Big Tuck, have you started your gimmick yet about hot
So,
wings?
I was gonna ask you about that. Today, so it's at BigTuck tweeting. Today, because we were talking about the short shorts that I got, right? I was gonna take
Yes.
a picture of me wearing them and then tag you and tag Jared Leto and ask what they thought. So maybe I'll just do that tomorrow. Is that is
I
that is that appropriate?
I don't know if I want to see you in your short shorts, but
I have great legs. Plus the cool Nordic tattoos. I know you like those.
I feel like it'd be better for you to do it with like Alexander Skarsgård because he's played like a
Oh
Viking,
yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Oh, I like
or
that.
like Jason Momoa because of all his tats.
Sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You can get a hold of our main account at CMD Tower on Twitter as well. We will have the deck list posted at cmdtower.com/BNBE169. Basically, type in combine Chrysalis, Mindlock Orb, Darksteel Citadel, Tower.com. And if you're looking to support us, you can do so a myriad of different ways. Patreon.com/CMD Tower, Etsy.com, CMD Tower in the search bar, or AbyssProxyShop.com. CMD Tower is your code at checkout for 10% off. All three ways are ways that you can help support us, keep this channel alive, and get Tuck some shorts that cover them thighs.
Never. It's the
So,
year of the short, baby.
Tuck, Tocasia, Dig Site, Mentor, say yes to the deck. So what we're gonna do is I just want your overall impressions of the deck, and then are you gonna say yes to the deck and actually try to build it? So what's your impression first?
I liked it. I think this does a lot of different things that BANT does. I also think it's built quite differently than a normal artifact deck, right?
Hmm.
I think honestly, I was looking through. I think the reason why I feel it's more fair is because it doesn't have blue in it. Because there's so many backbreaking, like the Tezzeret, like we were talking about on
Yeah,
Saturday, right? There's so many strong artifact synergies in black, so I think it makes it a little bit more fair. I like the way you built it. Like I like that you went for some deeper cards and some recursion. So I will say I am yes to the deck and the way it's built. I'm not sure if I'm actually going to put it to paper because I have two other decks. I have two other decks that I need. I just now today am finally getting sorted through all the decks I dismantled and I already have two more on the back burner for that. And then now I need to go through all those cards that I have to fix some decks that I want to do. And then I have two more decks that I already have that I want to build on the back burner. So this will certainly be one of them because I don't have a BANT I don't have a BANT deck. Taking mine apart. So far, if I was to build a BANT deck, it would be this one,
fair, fair, fair.
or or a version of it.
There you go. So
So good job.
yeah, I think this is an artifact deck that tickles your brain, especially because like I kind of said at the top of the cast, I think what makes this commander interesting is you are able to take really bad artifact cards that we wouldn't normally play in
Yeah,
commander. Like we didn't talk about it, Aetherworks Marvel works beautifully in this deck.
sure. Oh yeah,
Um I think that's where it's really different because I will tell you it's a lot of fun with like my Shirai deck being able to take really bad cards and be like, well, it
right.
works in here. Like I don't care that it's a
Yeah, yeah,
zero
yeah.
power or one power. like, and it could die immediately. Like, it's coming back, like, and it's going to do a lot of positive stuff for me. And I think you're going to be able to see, like, especially with, I think this is the year of the artifact, not the year of the short.
Oh, for
Um,
sure.
so I think you're going to see a lot of really freaking good artifacts come out that it's like, oh man, I could totally see how that's great in 60 card, but it doesn't really fit in Commander. It's
Mhm.
like, oh wait, Tocasia, it works amazing in here.
It kind of does, yeah.
Yeah. So glad to hear that you said yes to it.
Yeah.
Kind of sad that you have so many decks that you have to build and fix that it'll be on the back burner. But who knows?
Could be
Maybe
Q
in
a late Q2 project, you know? It
late
could be somewhere like
Q2.
that. Late Q2,
Yeah, we got it
right?
on the
We don't like
roadmap, guys.
forecasting. Right, exactly. I put in a Jira ticket. We're gonna put it into sprints, right? We gotta get out. We're kind of bogged down in the Q1 for velocity right now, but at some point we will get to it.
All right. Well, that's going to round out the episode. Thanks for hanging out with us today. And remember, stay classy.
Same last
Target lost.